All right, guys, I'm sounding the alarm bells of testing the market in 2026. 3 reasons why, if you're a seller trying to sell a piece of real estate in Southwest Florida, I'm only going to speak to my market. 3 reasons why you don't want to test the market with pricing in 2026. So please stay tuned. Number one reason, testing the market with price in the 2026 market, it kills the first 30 days. And why do we care? The first brand new penny, I always like to call it the shiny new penny, is the new listing on the block. It's within the first 30 days. So it kind of kills momentum in terms of showings and potential offers. So here's a great example. I have a listing on North Longboat Key. I talked about it in my playlist in January. We listed it correctly and we put it under contract in 19 days. We had a great amount of momentum. It was before we had to drop the price. It created desire from multiple buyers to view the property. So we had multiple people looking at it at the same time. We had a first offer. The second offer ended up coming together, and it's still contingent on a couple things, but it did go pending in 19 days in a market that's an equilibrium, equal buyer and seller market. So you don't want to kill the momentum in the first 3 weeks is the most critical of a listing if you overprice a property. Alongside pricing a property correctly in the first 30 days, if you price it too high, it starts to add days on the market. And why does that matter? If some sellers think that the right buyer will come along, well, yes, but at a price. So if you're the buyer and you're looking at property, it's like, oh, what's this new fabulous listing? I have to go check it out. I have to compare notes and see if it's something that I want to jump on. But when it's higher days on the market, the buyer's mind, just think from when you're selling a property, you have to think from the buyer's mind. The buyer's like, how come someone hasn't nabbed this up? It must be priced too high, or there's something wrong with it. Why hasn't someone else come along and grabbed it? So days on market are not good for a seller. Now, there's always caveats. The beach markets, the island markets, the niche areas, not master plan communities, generally not condo communities where they're all kind of similar in style and, like on the mainland, I mean. So those are a little bit different. When it's a really unique property, like on Longboat or on Minnesota Key, you have a lot of variety and differentiation in the types of real estate, the types of waterfront. So sometimes properties that are different and unique can take a while, and sometimes they don't fit the county stats categories when they're unique properties. For example, the general consensus when you look at the Sarasota County stats for sales, the last sales stats we have were ending in November. So that's the most recent because we're filming mid-January 2026 here. Say that when you list a property and sell it, the selling price is on average about 93%. So in unique properties, like ones that I'm going to be looking at down here on Minnesota Key today, it's not uncommon for there to be a larger spread because the seller's like, well, I want to list it high because we don't really know where the property is going to sit because there's so much deviation in the properties. But generally speaking, higher days on the market, like as you get past 100 days, inching past 200 days and 300 days, it's like, okay, it could be a really expensive, 7-8 figure type property where there's just few buyers in that price band. But generally speaking, higher days on market are not going to behoove the seller in terms of garnering a higher price, or a higher net is ultimately what the sellers care about. Number 3 reason, and I have a bonus 4th reason. There's others, but I'm going to give you a bonus 4th reason. Reason number 3 would be carrying costs. So while you're trying to get this price that may or may not be realistic, and it's not me saying, it's the market. There's a buyer and there's a price for every property. So in the meantime, while you're trying to get this price, you're paying $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year in taxes. You're paying the lawn guy, you're paying the pool guy, you're paying the HOA. Maybe there's increases in HOAs, maybe there's an assessment. there's all kinds of things that come up, utilities, you're paying for that. So maybe kind of lay that out when you're talking with your agent. What are you willing to bend on so that we can sell it in a shorter period of time? Maybe you're not in a hurry, and we understand that. So if you're not in a hurry, you might lose the buyer. It might end up taking forever, and you might get less than what you thought, right? It is and I talk about this a lot, a psychological thing to price at $1 under appraised value. You're going to get all the attention, hypothetically, in the first 3 weeks in the 2026 market. This is not a market I would suggest overpricing or grossly overpricing, because you're going to miss the boat. You're going to miss the most interested buyers. In the first 3 weeks, they're going to have the highest level of interest, and it kind of dies down on most properties. And then when you do price adjustments or things like that, you kind of see an increase in online impressions, showings. You need to get people in the door. And so if you're too far apart, buyers don't want to insult the sellers. There's plenty of properties down here in a really niche market like Longboat Key. Lots of diversity in locations on the island, proximity to this public beach here. All these things matter. And so we do see properties that are selling in the 88 percentile, 89 percentile, lower than the mainland properties are selling on average 93, maybe 94 to 98%. So if they price it $1 under appraised value, you're more likely to get that, 98, even 100% even in some cases. In very, very few cases in 2025, 2026, we're seeing multiple offers, right? They kind of grossly underpriced it just to get the interest and get it done, like literally ASAP. It's really kind of rare though. So carrying costs, keep those in mind. Talk through it with your agent. Communication is key. Bonus reason number 4, make sure if your agent agreed to overprice the listing, ask them their production. Ask them what they've sold, because you want to compare apples to apples. You could have an agent that's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear maybe, because they want to sell it. And they do want to sell it for the highest and best price for you. But if you're working with an agent that's just going to list it when they've maybe never sold it in this price point, in this area, this neighborhood, whatever, you might want to ask a little bit deeper questions. Like ask a few questions deep, like, what do you do this full time? Are you giving me a discount because you just want the listing? Work begets work, listings beget listings, and they might just use you to get the listing, not really caring if it sells, but just to be able to parlay that into other buyers and sellers. So make sure you know who you're working with. If it's a discount agent, understand what you're getting for that. And, this is your biggest asset generally of a lifetime. Do you really want to discount when ultimately you care about the net? So if I can make up for that portion of the commission in time, effort, quality marketing, reach, I can assure you I've had case study over and over again where I can show you that you want to pay for a high value, top tier realtor to sell your prized possession, your piece of real estate, right? And I just wouldn't recommend overpricing it too much. There's a small margin, right? There is a margin where the seller wants to be able to negotiate, the buyer wants to be able to negotiate, everybody wins. So you do want some room, but ultimately the market decides, and like I always say in these videos, we could be priced really well right now, and then it just takes one neighbor to undercut us, and we really have to be in tune with what's going on with pricing. Market knowledge is key, and I think that expertise in maneuvering through when to lower, if to lower, what can we do differently? Check out the playlist to learn more about things sellers can do in terms of getting your properties ready, things I would recommend, some of my extra services I provide. Ask me for my CV. It is about 30 to 40 pages long, citing properties I've listed and sold, experiences that my clients have had through reviews, and just there's a lot that goes into it. There's a tremendous amount of time, effort, and investment, both time-wise and financially, that your agent is going to do for you. So they ultimately want to sell it for you. And of course, you win, they win, everybody wins. What listing agent doesn't want to get the highest and best price for you? ultimately. But there's other things that go into price. There's terms that a strong agent will also help you with. I've been selling real estate here in the Sarasota market since 2002, and I've seen a lot of changes. I know how to kind of maneuver my clients through different markets, pricing strategies, and all that fun stuff, staging, all of it, to get you from contract to closing. And thank you for watching. If you're a new subscriber, thank you. Click that subscribe so you never miss a real estate tip from me, Shayla Twit. Thank you for watching. And if you want to call me, 941-544-7690.